When I say the name Tiamat, many folk, myself included, think about different video games and not Babylonian mythology. Some think about the League of Legends item, the axe Tiamat, where you might think of the boss of Henna Cave in Final Fantasy XII. Hell, you probably even think of the Dungeons and Dragons monster. And all of these are totally valid, but as it turns out, Tiamat was not some giant multi-headed dragon creature meant for slaying, but was in fact just a pretty lady. It's commonly debated that Tiamat, being a fertility goddess of the sea, was actually depicted as a dragon or sea monster, but this is a later development. Originally, Tiamat is depicted as a glowing woman. So how did Tiamat become that? Well, first we need to analyze how Babylonian mythology portrayed Tiamat. So yes, as previously mentioned, Tiamat is a fertility goddess, and she was married to Abzu, the god of freshwater. Oh hey neat, that's a video game, and I talked about that one on my channel. Whoa, that's crazy. And it's a game about the sea? Interesting. We can explore that fascinating discovery at another time. But Tiamat was basically vibing one day, doing sea goddess stuff, making babies with her freshwater hubby. Then Abzu had his spidey sense go off and believes his kids are gonna kill him. Tiamat says, nah bro, don't worry about it, and then her children kill her husband. Damn. You hate to see it happen. Tiamat, reasonably upset by this development, casually transforms into a sea monster. She wages war against her husband's killers and starts doing some sea monster shit. Please don't ask how she can do it, it's some primordial being shit. Anyway, then my boy, the storm god Marduk, looks at the destruction, says, bet, and kills her. But he's not content with first-degree murder because he really doesn't want the godly feds to find out. So he rips up Tiamat's corpse and scatters the pieces across the world. And from that flesh grew life. So that's how Tiamat became part of Babylonian creation myth. Also, if you've ever eaten some kind of fresh vegetable, that was grown from sea goddess flesh.
Gross.
Alright, so we can see how Tiamat became associated with dragons due to her sea monster-like depiction, but that still leaves a few unanswered questions, like where did these extra 4 heads come from? Why is she an axe now? Well, believe it or not, I can explain the axe thing easier than I can explain the 4 heads. So I have no clue why Riot said, yeah, sea monsters while they were doing this, but they took Tiamat and used it to build Titanic Hydra and Ravenous Hydra, with the Hydra being both a sea monster and a multi-headed monster. These are the only items that Tiamat builds into, so this is just an axe with like a sea monster theme. So the multi-headed thing, where did that come from? Well, I had to do some digging on that one. So most games are referencing Tiamat from D&D when they make a dragon-like creature, so that leads to the perpetration of this design. But why did Gygax and Cunts Don't Laugh give her so many heads? Well, originally she was not named. The design came first. Tiamat was introduced in 1975 with Greyhawk, though she was just the dragon goddess or chromatic dragon. She only gained a name in 1977 with the release of the Monster Manual for Advanced Dungeons & Dragons. And from this, Tiamat became a staple in RPGs, with its first notable appearance in Final Fantasy, which released in 1987 in Japan and 1990 in the West. And it's not like this dragon has been static since. Tiamat has appeared in 9 mainline Final Fantasy titles, and her appearance has changed drastically since her early days. Her first 2 appearances are pretty similar in design, but in Final Fantasy VIII, after taking an 11-year hiatus, the design changed to resemble her contemporary, Bahamut. While she returned to her multi-headed design for Final Fantasy IX, by Final Fantasy XI she had reached a new design template, having a stockier body and only 1 head. This design lasted until Final Fantasy XIII, where to fit the art style, it shifted to ease the stocky design, and her most recent appearance in Final Fantasy XIV's Heavensward expansion takes that design and tweaks it to fit the new art style. So Tiamat has really had her image changed over the years, and to be honest, it's kind of impressive that the entire perception of a deity could be shifted by 2 dudes who just needed to come up with a cool name for their dragon.